or not based on, but depending on what variation of the PlayStation you have, your ribbon cable and power cable are going to be in different locations. They're going to be over here, might be over here, where, you know, whatever revision you have. So you may or may not need to use the extension cable that comes with this laser. So in the case of the 1001 model, you are not going to need it. So basically this you can toss in the trash or do whatever you want with it. Also, what you are going to need to do is one additional step with the 1001 and possibly other revisions. This top cover is going to need to be removed. So if you own a 9001 PlayStation, this top cover can remain in place. If you own a PS1, which is the very small revision of the original PlayStation, you can leave this in place. In fact, this is a direct replacement for that model, as far as I'm aware of. It might need the extension cable. I'm not really too sure on that, but yeah. So what I'm going to do now is skip ahead to this being removed. Alright guys, so we have the laser assembly removed, and we will need to remove these isolators here from the original laser assembly in order to put them into the new one. So these isolator cups can be removed easily by squeezing the bottom of them and then simply twisting them out. Do not use pliers on these isolator cups at all. Doing so will rip them, and if you rip these and ruin them, then good luck finding replacements. But yeah, don't rip them. If you'll notice, between these two laser assemblies here, the top covers are different. So what you'll need to do is take the top cover from your original laser and put it onto the replacement. I don't know why Sony changed this, but they did, and it needs to be swapped out. So that's that. If you don't, you'll need to modify the top cover on your PlayStation, which is kind of idiotic in my opinion, especially since you just need to swap these covers out. So yeah, I would do that. Moving the top cover, there are two small screws located here and here that need to be removed. After those screws have been removed, you're going to lift up the small clip that is right here in front of the laser, and then after doing so, you will lift up this clip here. And you're not actually using a screwdriver to pry them up or anything. You can do this with your fingers. They come off quite easily. Once those two clips have come up, you can lift up the entire cover and then twist it about 10 to 15 degrees and then slowly work the top cover off. It needs to basically go between this plastic piece here. So this plastic strip will sit under the spindle housing here, and it needs to go between that and the laser. There's just enough room for it to fit between the spindle and the laser. So when you turn the cover, you will be able to actually remove it. You'll have to work it free very gently, but yeah, it'll come off very easily. Now here's a tip that I like to do with these laser assemblies. One thing to note is that this new laser is not actually fixing the original issue with these lasers. The issue with these lasers is that it's actually just a shit design to begin with. It's just a stupid design that has a very problematic issue where these rails here will wear out. The reason why they wear out is because you have plastic rubbing on plastic. In any modern CD drive, you'll actually have two metal rods going through permanently lubricated bushings, which is a much more reliable system, and you'll actually have like a worm drive moving the laser back and forth, which is also more precise than this traditional gear setup here. I recommend taking some grease, Teflon grease, not spray, but Teflon grease, and lining these rails here. This is where the laser sits on, and this is what wears out. Line these rails with grease, and that will greatly improve the lifespan of this assembly here, because now you actually have a lubricant instead of having little Teflon bushings, of which you only have on one side, actually, just here. Over here you actually have nothing. It's just basically metal rubbing on plastic. So you can kind of see how that works there. So this laser did actually work, but it was at its end because I had to jack the laser intensity on this thing way up, way past what I'm comfortable with. So yeah, before that, this console would only play upside down. So that's either the laser itself going bad, or these guides are so worn out that the laser just can't focus normally. So in addition to that, before we go any further, there are bias and gain pots right here. And these pots essentially will adjust the focus from the laser to the disc. So since I've already played around with these, this console does work fine with the original laser. However, with the new laser, I might have to readjust them. However, with my other console, I didn't need to. And also, depending on the revision that you have, you might not even have these pots at all. So as far as this replacement laser goes, it does have a intensity adjustment right here. You can see that. That particular pot really shouldn't need to be adjusted at all. So I would just leave it alone. If the console works fine, I would just basically not touch it. So let's go ahead and remove this top cover here, put this top cover on, and we'll close her back up and we'll test her out. Before installing your laser, make sure that your power cable is actually inserted correctly. There's only one way to insert it, but I'm sure someone will figure out a way to jam it in and put it in backwards. But yeah, that little cable needs to be removed from the old laser and inserted into the new one. Also, your little isolators, they need to be put in correctly too. So you can see this is how they're supposed to be put in. And also with your top cover, make sure that your ribbon cable fits in correctly. So on this particular drive, this is the old one, we can see how the ribbon cable actually fit in. So this part right here has your tuning pot right here in it, and it fits into this little channel over here. So if we kind of get a good camera angle here, when you reinsert the top cover, make sure that this cable fits into this channel, like so. And just make sure that you are not obstructing that cable in any way, because this laser needs to go back and forth smoothly without ripping on or tugging on that cable at all. So if all that is good, basically check your screws in the back here, make sure that they're snug and not tight, just snug, and you should be good to go. So we can take this laser assembly and plop it down in there. And it very simply sits on these little isolators here. Somehow, there we go. So that sits on there like so, and the ribbon cable is being obstructed. Nice job. There we go. Okay, so now it's sitting on there like so. Oh. Third time's a charm. And then we will take this little ribbon cable here and gently insert it. So there's your little power cable, and then your little ribbon cable dealy here. This is kind of a pain in the butt though, because it is obviously a very firm plug, and you do not want to damage it. So kind of gently work it in there. And there you have it. So that's in all the way, I think. That's what she said. And there you go. So new cable is installed, and that's it.
Show you how to adjust the PlayStation 1 SCPH 1002 model, or 1000 model. Okay, so I have my PlayStation here. I'm going to open it, and first I will just show you which version it is. So here you can see it there. SCP 102. So the point of this video is to see if there's something we can do to stop that rattling sound that the CDs make. And I think the CDs are... this is a loose unit. How strange. So how's this... oh, let's be careful with this ribbon cable there. So yeah, but anyway, let's just ground myself. Yeah, so here we have the test points. These are the ones I saw lately in a video by Stig's World or John. And you had a link to a website that told you you could adjust the bias and gain of the focusing motor or a unit here, because this lens is moving up and down. Here you can see the laser intensity screw. So we'll hook up our scope to somewhere we can measure. Maybe we have to solder onto a test point here, because there will be a disc on top of all of this. So maybe we just solder some test wires out here. That would be interesting. Now I've hooked up power to the unit, so if you're doing this yourself at home, please be careful and not touch anything in here, because you have 400 volts DC and 220 volts down there. Scary stuff. So let's get that grounding on. For now I'll hook onto here, alright? Or here, so it doesn't get in the way of the camera. So now the meter is grounded. Set it to volts, so we're going to measure bias and gain voltage. Okay, so the first part of the guide is to set the laser intensity, and we are measuring the voltage up here. And at the same time we are going to hold down the security switch here. And now I have powered it up, and that's the switch. Be careful when you press stuff. Until we press this one, you can see that it goes up and then down, up and then down again. 11 millivolts. So let's put it on millivolts. This point. So okay, try it again. 13 millivolts. So that seems a bit high, doesn't it? So let's try and adjust that. Okay, so this proved to be a bit more difficult than I thought, so I will solder onto the flex here. So I'm unplugging power. Yep. Okay, I've pre-tinned this wire, so going to attach this. Let's just move this side of the way first. Temporarily put it like that inside this. So if I move it, everything will go away, so I have to be careful now. Now let's attach power. Be careful again, don't press here because they have live connection. So let's go. Power. And the safety switch, 12 volts, fine. So now we're going to measure 11.4. That was almost correct. So I think that would be close enough, don't you think? And now I'll get this out of the way. Switch off the power, of course.
Alright friends, I got my PlayStation hooked up, and basically what I did was take a small voltmeter, if you can see it right here, or not, there's an adjustment screw right under the ribbon wire. You may want to take some tape on the long ribbon and kind of tape it on to the power cord and kind of run it into the power outlet here on the other side. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a small little hookup in there you hook it up to. With this you got to turn it backwards a little bit. I'll show you with the screwdriver. You want to turn it a little negative. Let's see if I can turn it left. You want to turn it left, And basically you should get a good reading for your new disc. So anyways, I'll show you what I had to do here a little bit, if I can balance this again. You have to get something heavy on the ribbon wire here, because a lot of the stock ones, they come with these long ribbon wires. It's not so good, but it's not so bad either. You have to find something heavy to put it down while you're testing it. Let me get the disc on here. So hold on for a minute, just give me time. This is kind of testing we're doing here right now. Alright, be sure not to hit anything back here that's a live wire. Now let's turn this on, and you want to hold down the back piece here where the CD turns on. Now let's watch it load. As you can see, it's reading the disc perfectly fine. It should load the game now. As you can see, it's playing the games perfectly. Dragon Ball's running. I'm gonna turn it off now. So I'll put my hand off of that. It shouldn't be reading the disc anymore. And you hit the power button, turn it off. It's Dragon Ball. So let's turn it off, and I'll be back to you in a minute. Let's get the cover back on. Hi guys again. This is what I had to do. Basically, you want to take, this is the new laser I have here, but this is the old cover. Here's the new laser cover. You want to make sure you also put the new laser cover onto the new one. The old one onto the new one, yeah. So, I got it all hooked up here. Basically, you have to unscrew the bolts on the top here. These two little bolts. And you kind of slide it and take it off and back. But what I've noticed with this one is, this new laser lens, the ribbon's very long. So you have to do some manual adjustments here with the tape. Scotch tape works. You're gonna need a few tools to get some of the plastic off. I noticed, because on the plastic, on this one, there's edges on it and everything, and you're gonna have to do a little surgery to this one, the new one, to get it to fit. Underneath you see these little metal bars. You have to take the legs off of the new lens so it fits on top. Otherwise it'll be sticking up too far and your tray will not fit on top of it. It's a lot of surgery because a lot of these parts, they don't make them anymore. And now that you have the case, the original case on top, you can see that it fits perfectly. You don't have to do anything after that, because the new case, it looks similar to it, doesn't it? But it doesn't fit inside of the actual console. So what you have to do is you have to take off the old case off of the old laser. This is the 20-year-old laser that was in here. And I had to remove the case and modify it for the new one. That's basically all you have to do, and just hook everything back up the way it was and kind of just tape off the ribbon wire and stick it back in there. And adjust the laser a little bit to the left side on the adjustment here on the ribbon wire. You just adjust it a little bit, turn it left, and it should work. A lot of these old PlayStation consoles, like the Japanese one, they have these three hookups in the back. A lot of the American ones don't. That's another thing you might notice on these imports. Other things. This model particularly didn't have the laser being sold. They're the same exact model. So what I had to do was I had to buy a laser that was a similar model and modify it into this particular PlayStation model. As you can see, the serial codes are different. But as we saw before, it works on the television perfectly fine. So now you got a new laser lens that'll work for about 30 more years. I think that's wonderful. If you can pay the money for it, and that's pretty much it. Well, I left the description of what you have to do with pictures and whatnot. So I hope you find use out of all this, repairing your PlayStation from overseas. Anyways, guys, have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.